Samuel, John KANE here from Let's Talk Native. Well, we survived the onslaught of pressure to participate in the U.S. midterm elections. And while I'm proud to say the Native turnout was very low, I want to talk about that onslaught. It came from everywhere. All the heavy hitters from across Turtle Island joined in. The lawyers, lobbyists, consultants, and advisors, the Native professors and instructors from academia, the PhDs and lofty thinkers, the authors and journalists, the artists and performers, and all the other Native celebrities, the activists, protesters, and environmentalists, even the spiritual leaders and healers jumped into the fray. And let's not leave out the organizations: NAJA, NIGA, USET, NCAI, and of course the tribal administrations themselves. All these individuals and entities that claim to speak for us and fight for us told us to go out and vote in the elections of the government we fight against. The question is why? Why was there such a push? And who is responsible for it? Did these guys all align on their own? It's not like our vote is significant enough to matter in that system. I don't have an answer to these questions. But the questions and the answers to them matter. We need answers. We cannot dismantle the systems of oppression using tools of oppression. We cannot claim sovereignty and vote in the elections of the nations we claim distinction from. Only U.S. citizens can vote in U.S. elections. If we even partially identify ourselves as such, where's our claim to distinction? Decolonization is not about finding a comfortable place within their system. It is about untangling ourselves from it. Voting or running in that system is not decolonization. It's assimilation. I was challenged and criticized for daring to suggest that Native people, particularly those living on Native lands, should not vote in U.S. elections. I heard very few voices challenging the push for the Native vote, but plenty of them condemning me as anti-American for saying so. I can live with that. After all, it didn't work. Hell, Native people barely participate in Native elections. Right here in Seneca Nation territory, with over 5,000 eligible voters, less than 1,900 cast ballots. Oh yeah, that was yesterday, the same day as the U.S. elections. It's just not our way. On my last show, I made the mistake of leaving the Onondagas out of the long list of those advocating this assimilation, only to be informed later that Oren Lyons made that exact appeal at the National Congress of American Indians just last week in Denver. Look, we need to decide who and what we are. Our identity matters. It matters to us today and for our children tomorrow. Genocide is not just a historical event from the past. It continues today. And cultural genocide, that's not even a thing. Destroying a culture or stripping away the national character of a people is genocide. Putting a word in front of it to make it seem softer or less violent does not make it so. Our children were raped, murdered, and left to die in those residential schools and in white foster care. These institutions were violent, and we cannot whitewash that truth. In fact, the sex scandals that are rocking the various churches and religious organizations today have their origins in these government and church-sanctioned institutions. We need to be aware of just what is happening. We survived this last grand push to sign us up as U.S. voters and register our homes as part of the state. But that push came from people who look like us and claim to speak for us. They need to be called out and challenged. Our distinction matters. Representing ourselves matters. Words matter. Language matters. We need to choose wisely on the path we follow and where we are led by others, and how we describe ourselves and are described by others. Our future depends on it. This is why it matters.